This is John from Fruitful Acres. It's late winter, early spring. We're doing an initial assessment of the farm, what needs to get done, in what order things need to get done, priorities before spring breaks. We have about, I'd say, a month before things really start popping. So we have to assess the situation, see what it is that needs to get done, see what it is that's happened over the winter. We have a game plan going into the spring as far as what we want to do, but we need to assess the situation, look at what we need to get done, and start chipping away, prioritizing what needs to get done first and what needs to get done subsequently. So we're walking through our front orchard right now. These are hazelnuts that we will prune, but we can do these later. It's not a high priority because we don't really get much in the way of nuts from them, but we're looking to see what we got to do. We got grapes by the road. We've already started pruning those. Grapes are what we need to get pruned first. They're easiest to manage when it is still cold and buds have not popped out. You have to be fairly forceful in tearing these vines off, whether it be the fence or the wires. So it's best to do that when it's cold. They're more forgiving, they don't snap. Once they start having buds on them, then it's a lot easier to damage the vines. You don't want to do that. So we've already done a little bit of fertilization this spring so far. We've started our pruning. We are going to be doing some propagating. So we need to take cuttings from trees that we want to propagate, either utilizing for hardwood cuttings for starting new trees, or take cuttings for graftings to graft onto existing trees. So right here we have one of our peach trees. The one thing that we're going to do later in the spring is prune our peaches. What we have to do off the bat, the earliest thing we need to do is prune our apples. And when we're looking to prune our apple trees or any tree, you have a few places to start. As far as you're looking at a tree, you're trying to figure out, well, what do I cut? What do I leave? Well, what you could always cut, and what you should start with, is if you have any dead branches, cut them off. If you have any branches that are crossing or rubbing, you're going to want to cut those off, regardless of the type of tree. And whether or not you have water sprouts. What are water sprouts? Well, that's the vertical growth that comes straight up, normally from last year. You can see these are some of our Macintosh, not that one in the front, but these older trees here. A lot of water sprouts there. Now, we didn't really get to pruning a lot of them off last year. We did with some of the other existing apple trees, but not so much this. So I really should get up there with a ladder and knock them all back. Now, why do I want to prune these water sprouts? Well, a couple things. I want to keep the height of the tree under control. You can see the scaffolding branches there, then you have all these water sprouts coming out. I should trim those all back. One, because I am trying to keep the height of the tree under control, so ideally I can harvest and spray and do what I need to do from the ground. I don't need to get on a ladder. If you have the time to do that, go for it. If you have one or two trees or a few handful of trees, then it may not be an issue. With us, we have over 100 apple trees, and I don't have the time to get on a ladder and deal with spraying or harvesting or anything like that. So I really got to knock these back. So hopefully I will have a chance to do that. But that's my number one priority with the apple trees. You can see here, these are ones that I pruned the water sprouts last year. They do have some new ones, but it's not as severe as the Macintosh. Now these were neglected because we don't get a lot of fruit set off of them anyways. So again, you prioritize what's going on as far as, are these trees producing for me, or are they just more ornamental because I'm not getting the yield that I want? So you start off with trimming back any dead, universal, anything that's crossing or rubbing. You cut one of the two, and all these water sprouts you really should take out. Now you can leave some, but I'm ideally not going to, because these are mature trees and I don't want the height to be any higher. Now when you're looking at your trees, you also have to think of, where is the tree in its maturation process? Am I training a young tree to have scaffolding branches for future fruit production, or is it in production? That's really going to determine my plan of attack with each individual tree. This is a younger tree, Kingston Black, and I'm pruning for shape here. It has some fruiting spurs that hopefully will get some fruit this year, but not a lot. So again, every situation is different, every tree is different. Whether it's a young tree or a mature tree is going to determine how you are going to address the tree. So this right here is the apple orchard. In the back here are the grapevines. We've already gone through here initially and pruned most of this out. When dealing with the grapes, again, I have to do this relatively soon. The grapes take a while to get from the start to the finish of the pruning process. Initially, what I have to do is I have to take every vine that's here and pull them off the wires. Whether or not it's soft wire or high tensile wire, I still need to pull all these vines off the wire because I need to reset the wire. Because over the course of the last growing season, the wire stretches out, whether that just be from fruit set or just the natural tension on the wire and the heat of the spring and the summer stretching it out. You don't want to have droopy wire, because ideally you want to have taut wire where your end posts take all your weight. So what you need to do is go through here. What we need to do is pull all these vines for each row off. That's going to involve trimming the vines themselves. And then we also have to think about where these vines are in their maturation process. Are we getting fruit off of them? Are we still training them for future fruit production? That's all going to factor in to our plan of attack when addressing the grapes for the season. So most of these are in fruit production, so I want to prune them back to a few canes. And again, the other thing is how am I training the grapes? We do top wire cordon here. That's a specific training regimen, or we will utilize the umbrella niffin method, which I've illustrated in the past and also going forward. And also how we're going to net the fruit. Now, having this smart netting system, which goes over the entire vineyard, makes training the grapes a lot easier, because you have more options, because the net is not going to be making contact at all with the fruit. So how we would train the vines underneath is not at all determined by how we are going to be netting the fruit. So it really gives us a lot of options. So we're going through, pulling off all the vines from the wires. Then we're going to reset the wires. Then we're going to tie up the vines. And on the shorter vines, such as this one right here, where the canes are just over the middle wire, we're going to have to put some jute tied from the top down to here, so we can train some shoots, because this is not a fruit producing vine. This is, because again, we have those new canes in the head zone. We have these long fruiting canes that we're going to wrap around the wire and tie them down and get them set and ready to produce. So we have a fair amount of work in front of us, but we've been chipping away, and I think we have a good plan of attack for the spring. So apples, we need to get in there, clean them up a little bit. We've already done some. Ideally, I want to get the water sprouts cut out, but it's not the end of the world if I don't. But it's just going to be causing more work for me in the future. I don't want to have these apple trees spend all this energy producing wood that I'm not going to utilize. I'm not going to have fruit sit on it. If I'm not cutting it this year, I'm cutting it next year. So, as you can see here, we had some damage on the trunk from mice. So I have to paint up that trunk, try to seal it up. We had a lot of snow this winter, and when the snow gets over the trunks, the mice tend to run back and forth between the trees and eat the bark. Again, a lot of water sprouts in here, so could be in here figuring things out, chipping away. This is our newer orchard. We have peaches in here, some plums, some cherries. So all in all, no big surprises. Again, we do have some damage from mice, which is unfortunate. So if the weather's warm enough, I'll try to paint the trunks to heal them up sooner rather than later. We have to get in here and prune the apples first, because it's best to prune apples when dormant. The peaches and some of the stone fruit we can leave to prune until a little bit later in the spring. But we have our work cut out for us. But glad to be in spring, glad to be starting another season here at Fruitful Acres.